Let's stay in the Western Cape and that theme of campaigning for that particular province. What with Cyril Ramaphosa there, the IFP, I saw that they want a seat in the Cape Metro, as well as the EFF's Julius Malema also set to campaign in the Western Cape. So let's talk to Professor Barry Hanyane about that. Prof, thank you for your time. So crisscrossing the Western Cape, the DA's hold is quite firm. 63% in the 2016 local government elections, which is more comparable than 2019 general election, with the ANC just at 26%. Can the DA's grip on power be loosened by any of these parties that are now campaigning there?
So that's a good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to your viewers. Look, I think the DA's position is somewhat comfortable. And I'm saying this because of a number of reasons. One of them is that the ANC's Western Cape seems to be in all sorts of disarray. I haven't had any sign of them consolidating after years of internal squabbles, and of course not concentrating on building their support base and of course their constituency in that part of the world. So I don't see them clawing back. Instead, they might have to share the spoils of the overall votes with the other smaller parties, EFF and others. There's good there in the mix, and perhaps smaller parties in wards that are coming out as well. This may be seen on perhaps religious and racial lines, but be that as it may, I think it might as well unsettle the ANC's support base.
Will the DA rue some of the recent happenings? For instance, the manner in which Patricia de Lille ended up leaving the position of mayor there, as well as ended up leaving the DA altogether. The ructions we saw at a national level in the last 2 years or so, but also throw into that mix the role of parties such as the likes of ICOSA and also parties such as Al-Jama. To what extent does that perhaps chip away at the DA, these factors I just mentioned?
I suspect it will be marginal. Let's not forget that the DA still enjoys huge support in affluent suburbia. And this will, in a sense, begin to be appreciated as that foundation. Your question may very well extend to say, will the so-called colored vote remain an important element in consolidating the DA's power? I'd like to believe so, although there is emerging representation from the colored perspective from various quarters, as I said earlier, your small wards all the way to province, and perhaps with the aspirations of a national footprint. Your Al-Jama represents that voice. But be that as it may, I think the DA's consolidation of the province will remain for quite some time, despite issues, especially around responses at your disadvantaged communities of Langa, of Guguletu, of Khayelitsha, and so forth. I'd like to believe that their leadership there will remain intact. They might drop a few percentages in support base based on all these developments, but overall, I think they're in a commanding position.
Lastly, then, let's throw in the whole element of good, the party known as Good, and the kind of tension and sort of, I don't know, let's call it tension for now, between themselves and the DA, and how they've been having jabs at each other. Well, how much of a factor is that likely to be? And throw in as well there the issue of Patriotic Alliance, as well as the Freedom Front Plus, in the context of what, you know, for the lack of a better word, people call the colored vote.
Look, it's intense competition for that constituency. There is no doubt about it. And sadly, it's going to divide, for lack of a better description, your colored patriotism, as it were, without necessarily referring to the Patriotic Party itself. And that vote is extremely important, although from a numbers point of view, it might be challenged by the so-called black vote in that province. And of course, as I've mentioned earlier on, the vote in affluent areas. it remains a contested area. It offers some kind of an intense competition to those who claim to represent the colored group. We have to watch this one very closely. I think it's for the first time in any case that such a development is observed. And to what extent will then results favor a political party? That point remains to be seen.
All right, Professor Perry Hanyane, thank you for your insights here on All Angles on eNCA, looking into the situation in the Western Cape. From